I'm Joey Stewart. I am the head of community for Tribal Finance. Tribal Finance is a decentralized lending platform. Thank you so much for joining us today in this space. The topic for this space is bringing 1 billion users to Web3. I know it's a very ambitious title, but it's an important one. I do want to introduce all the guests today that's joining us. We have Gian from Boba Network. Boba Network is a multi-chain layer 2 optimistic rollup built on Ethereum. We have Lucas. Lucas is the CEO of Vent Finance, which is a launchpad platform, and they're helping projects with crowdfunding. We have Zappa from SushiSwap, a popular DeFi app for cross-chain swaps. Most of us, or all of us, should know SushiSwap. We have Peter from Vaultcraft, a yield optimizing protocol. Really cool stuff there. We have Alex from Footprint. Footprint is a blockchain analytic and infra provider. And then we have, last but not least, Jake. Jake is the founder of Jake's Crypto and CEO of Whitewater Labs. So, really happy to have you all. Thank you so much for joining. Let me just add Jake here as a speaker. Really happy to have you all. Okay, awesome. So today the structure that we'll do the space is going to be like a roundtable style intro for myself and all the guests with the respective project. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that they're building in Web3. Since I'm hosting, I might as well just start it off. As some of you already know, I'm the head of community for Tribal Finance. We recently launched our DeFi lending protocol. The main use case for our protocol is connecting global capital from credit investors and institutions to fintech companies that have a proven track record of doing their own underwriting. So, very simple. Our platform is on our platform, a credit investor deploys capital on the Tribal Finance protocol. That capital earns yield via pools created by the fintech companies. So these fintech companies, they provide lending products to their end users, which are typically like SMBs, small to medium enterprises, and stuff like that. So each pool is collateralized by real world assets. The real world assets are tokenized receivables from fintech companies. And basically, we like to say Tribal Finance is a marketplace that facilitates the lending and borrowing process with a legal framework around it. So KYC is required, KYB, because we're dealing with businesses here. One of our unique features that we offered to institutional credit investors is credit enhancements. This allows risk mitigated lending to credit investors, which is very, very attractive and can be lucrative for the platform. Now that the protocol is live, we have lots of exciting things in a pipeline. I wish I got the green light to talk about it today, but we will start to introduce those things in the future. I was kind of advised to hold back a little bit. So unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about all the exciting things that we have in the pipeline. That's the intro for Tribal Finance. We can start the roundtable with Gian from Boba Network. I'll give you the stage so you can introduce what you're doing.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate that. Hey, everyone. It's Hyun from Boba Network. So basically, I am the head of community over there. So handle a lot of the stuff that's happening, but been wearing a lot of hats lately. So you'll see me doing a bunch of things over there. But Boba Network is a multi-chain layer 2 based on the optimistic rollup stack currently deployed on Boba, on Ethereum and BNB. So if you guys have seen it around, we do have multiple dApps deployed on both. Whatever you guys are feeling into, right? If you're on the BNB ecosystem, you can feel free to try out Boba BNB, or if you're in the Ethereum ecosystem, you can try out Boba ETH. So basically, our aim is pretty much to offer low fees, fast transactions, and also kind of be an innovative hub of deployments of dApps. So there's a lot of good things coming up for this upcoming bull run that are in the works. And if you guys follow Boba Network, you'll be able to see all the announcements are shown there. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gian. Definitely appreciate that intro. I know that you guys are doing some amazing stuff on your end. We've been connected for a little bit over a year now, and I've seen the progress personally. So thank you for joining us today. That's awesome. Up next, we have Lucas, really nice guy, CEO from Vent Finance. The stage is yours, Lucas.
Thanks so much for the intro. Yeah, so we here at Vent have been working with projects for the last basically 3 years, really helping out mostly with go-to-market strategies. Our expertise has really been on two of the elements which you touched on. One is crowdfunding. Obviously, they're trying to find the best way to structure their private rounds, the best way to raise some funds. But most importantly, especially with protocols, how do you find, especially relevant to today's discussion, how do I find my first 10,000 users basically is what we're helping them find, right? A lot of the times this has to do with distributing or airdropping, however you want to call your native token. And so this is one of the basically strategic angles that we're working with projects on. And the second obviously is, how do you make sure that this is sustainable in time, right? So we all know, the pressures of, supporting token price, market making assets, etc. Our goal is really to help founders navigate these issues and hopefully, do really well, right? So our incentives are very much aligned with those of founding teams. So we've been doing this, like I said, for about 3 years. Great to be here. Thanks to Andre, our community manager. We've done some pretty successful launches across, I would say pretty much all verticals. So gaming, DeFi. We did some metaverse NFTs back in 2021, 2022. And now we're super excited to be launching a gaming ecosystem specifically in Q1 of next year. So yeah, that's a bit about us, but I'll leave the stage to our follow guests.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucas. It looks like you guys are doing some pretty cool stuff and have been building during the bear market, which is definitely commendable. So thank you for introducing the project. I think that it'll be it's very interesting. I think what you guys are building is something that's in demand. A lot of projects have great ideas and they do need some direction. So yeah, kudos to you, and looking forward to what you guys are going to do in the future. Awesome stuff. The next person that we have is Peter from Vaultcraft. Peter, the stage is yours.
I think we might have lost him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep it going, man. Yeah. Well, I'm Zappa. I'm here representing Sushi today. For those who aren't familiar, Sushi is a far-reaching DEX that extends to almost, or actually over 30 chains now, and we offer different things. Just mostly focusing on V3 liquidity, cross-chain swapping, providing the best possible DEX experience to the farthest reaching ends that we can offer, under one house for the user. So nice to meet everyone.
That's awesome. Thank you for jumping right in there. Yeah, you guys definitely doing some amazing stuff. Obviously, been following for a while, so thank you for the intro. I don't know, did Peter join us? I'm looking down the list. I don't see him. Maybe he'll join later. The last we have Jake from Jake's Crypto and the CEO of Whitewater Labs. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Jake, and I'm from Korea. Um, Sorry, my voice is gone. I got a flu. Please understand. Whitewater Labs is a marketing agency for Web3. So we provide a go-to-market strategy, especially for the Korean market. That's what we do. And Jake's Crypto is actually a community of Jake's friends that I have met in person throughout my working experience. So it's a pleasure to meet you and be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. We actually have one more person. I think Peter's not here yet, but we should have. I think Alex is here. Alex from Footprint. If you want to share some of the cool stuff that you're doing.
Hey everybody, it's Alex from Footprint. So in case you don't know about Footprint, a little bit about us. Kind of like your data analytics slash data info provider. So if you guys are curious about any of the 20 chains that we have, whether it be like NFTs or gaming, you can go and actually make some insights on it at our website, footprint.network. Or if you need some infra solutions, like say like our growth analytics, where we combine Web 2 and Web 3 data. Um, we have a couple different solutions, so check us out. Check out our research page for sure. That's hot. You can check out token chain, gaming, and NFT data, all your hot metrics. So check that out. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, you guys. Thanks for having me. And sorry I was running a little bit late, but I'm here now. Let's go.
No worries. We didn't even notice. Well, thank you for the intro. I think it's important. Data is important, right? That's what drives just everything in general. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure some of us here will definitely check you out and see what you're doing. So yeah, let's actually jump into the topic of the onboarding the next billion users to Web3, right? That's the topic for today. Now that we're approaching what seems to be the bull market, right? Or some bullish things happening like ETFs and things of that nature. I think that alone, personally, that is going to foster in a bunch of non Web3 users that don't exist today, that they're not in Web3. I think that unknowingly they'll be part of the Web3 landscape, and that'll be through ETFs, right? So like we have some of these fundings, some of these ETFs that exist, and people are going to be invested in possibly Bitcoin and things of that nature. And that's a user, right? That's part of the Web3 world. So yeah, I think that there's some exciting times to come in the future. But I just wanted to kind of ask some questions and let the speakers, share some insights. So, like, for example, like, the first question that I have here is, what are some of the things that can be done or are currently being done to attract Web3 users and potentially bring billions of users, as the topic says. So I kind of touched on that a little bit, but would love to see if someone wants to jump on stage and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can go ahead.
Awesome.
So I think some of the things that can be done, it's basically having blockchain in the background, to be honest, right? So I think right now, crypto, it's a very specific niche. Learning crypto, it's pretty hard for the average person, right? I mean, they won't know what gas blockchain fees are, right? Bridging, all that is kind of hard for the regular average Joe. So I think basically having blockchain running in the background, that would bring a lot more people to use it, especially if you have dApps that can be viable to others. Because right now the way that crypto is, it's a little weird, right? So there's a lot of speculation happening. There's a lot of airdropping happening. There's a lot of tasks people have to do. and move funds around. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of non-crypto native people, and they don't even know what they're doing, right? So I think we if we can't abstract the blockchain from the user, I think that would be the best way to approach the next billion users, in my opinion. So I think any mechanism or any kind of upgrades that are viable in reducing that friction, I think that would be the best way forward. So, I have no idea what that sound was.
Yeah, neither do I. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
You're getting down on a game of Pac-Man over there. It sounded like.
Like you just scored. That's awesome.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
Gian, I think the sound was relevant. I think you hit some great points there. Having things in the background, as we know it today, like the internet, right? Like when we load an app, no one knows like the handshakes that are happening, HTML connections, and the different TCP/IP protocols. All these things are, even though it's Web 2, people don't actually know that that's happening. So that's less of a friction that exists, right? It's just like, hey, you log in, you load the app. You don't even have to log in. If you have like something like Twitter, you just click on the icon, it loads up. So I think that, to your point, uh, what we need today is less friction. We need to figure out technologies and implement technologies that reduce the friction that exists today. So, like for example, if I wanted to talk to someone about, hey, get crypto, buy this or do this, there's a lot of friction involved. You have to open up a Coinbase account, which Coinbase does a really good job in making it as easy as possible, but there's still some barrier to entry. You have to do a bunch of stuff. So, like, if we could simplify that, reduce the friction, I think that will help with the onboarding process. To your point, so yeah, great stuff. I will leave it to someone else if they want to kind of chime in on that question, that topic.
I think Lucas had his hand up, but otherwise, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just go. Whoever's a speaker could just unmute. Yep. Is it me? Is it me? Or
No,
yeah, it
I
seems.
lost him too.
yeah.
Yeah, he's cutting out a little bit. Hey, Lucas, we can't hear you.
Oh yeah,
Man.
he's in the connection. Man, I just can I bring up a point? It's just a billion people are a lot, right? As we astutely pointed out earlier. Yeah, but so there's what if I Googled it now, there'd be 8 billion people roughly in the world. So we would have to. I mean, if we're just going off this number that we're spitballing here, that means one out of 8 people have to be using Web3 to meet that metric of bringing a billion people in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Do you feel like one out of 8 people you'd meet at the bar, one of them is messing on stocks or perpetuals or ETFs or something like that?
Well, when I think of bringing a billion people to Web3, I think of everything,
Oh, right, like games and
gaming and stuff like that. So I just did a quick Google as you were speaking, and I asked Google how many people are using the internet today, and there's 5.3 billion according to Google. So we're
okay.
it's not far off of the entire population of the world. So I think if, again, like kind of like what Gian said, if we have things, Web3 running in the background of like gaming, even NFTs, things of that nature, that will kind of already have the billion people in the Web3 world, right? So that's what I think. I know it's a big number, but I think that this is definitely achievable. We're just very early. and there's a long way to get there. So I'll give you another example. When we talk about the ETF, you know, my parents are not going to uh, uh, go to Coinbase and buy a Bitcoin and withdraw. They're not doing any of that. If an ETF gets approved, they just have to kind of modify their portfolio, through Fidelity or whoever gets approved. So that's still Web3, in my opinion. It's still there's an interaction happening. If you're buying Bitcoin, you're in Web3. So that will be one way, or probably the first way, that we'll start to see an increase, a surge in users. But there's so much more gaming and stuff like that. So I think we're heading the right direction. If you look at when I got into the space, 2017, there was only, if you look at CoinGecko, there was only like 2,000 projects back then. I remember like clicking. CoinGecko didn't even exist. It was CoinMarketCap. And I remember going there and counting the project. You could see the projects, the number of projects that existed. It was only 2,000. If you go today, we're at 11,000. So there's definitely more people joining. No, more people know about crypto and stuff like that. So I think, maybe in another 3 years or so, we'll start to at least reach closer to the billion people mark. But yeah, that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would say I agree. I think the thing is the billion. It is a quite a hefty number, but to be honest, I think it will gain traction. Like I said, if we can abstract the blockchain portion of it, and even with the ETF, yeah, you're definitely, part of crypto. I wouldn't say you would be a crypto native, but you would definitely be part of the crypto ecosystem, right?
Hmm.
So in any way, shape, or form matters. Just because, especially if you guys are traders or anything, there's a flow of funds happening. So I mean, there's always going to be the flow with the ETF that's going to go into Bitcoin. From Bitcoin goes into other dApps, right? So there's going to be more liveliness everywhere. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to say.
Definitely, definitely. I think Alex wanted to chime in. You have your hands up, so you can just jump right in,
Yeah,
Alex.
I was gonna say, if we can get a billion people into blockchain as long as blockchain provides a use case for a billion people. I think there's some good applications that can help accelerate and bring this use case to a billion people. I think some of the things like Helium is doing over in the DPIN sector, the decentralized physical infrastructure network, like Helium, for example, with Helium Mobile, they're onboarding like 10 thousands of users a day. I think they're onboarding over 10,000 into their Helium mobile app, so you can get service for like $10 for your phone, like this. So I think applications like this are quite useful, and we can see these start going worldwide, right? I mean, in Canada, I'm paying like ridiculous amounts of money just for my phone bill. So getting something like Helium, for example, cost me $20 a month, and then I get $5 a month back in tokens. Like something like that is, application that can affect and benefit a lot of people. So as long as we keep going in beneficial directions like that, I definitely can see us getting up to a billion. Who knows when though? But
Yeah, that's a great use case. I think that's important, right? Like what you just said, the use case is what drives the user, right? So if you have a compelling application of some sort, like what you just mentioned, that's going to drive the users. Another thing that as you were speaking, I think that there's also the workforce, right? Content creators and things of that nature. I think there's some, people are now making more money just by creating content, right? So if there's a Web3 application that can help with that, facilitate that, Maybe have content creators earning tokens of some sort for the content that they create. Essentially, I think that would also be of interest in the future. RWAs, in my world, in the tribal finance world, we're the RWA stuff. That's a big narrative. That's gonna, tokenizing things, tokenizing assets, owning a piece of asset that you couldn't previously own. Like for example, real estate. Like instead of buying the entire building, you can buy a portion of it, a fraction of it, based on how much you're deploying capital. You're deploying as an individual. Different artwork. Just so many different things that can really bring that. Like selling a home. I know. Forget what project did this already, but they sold a home on chain, and it was an easy process. I think it was rooftop, something like that. They sold a home on chain. So imagine circumventing the middleman and paying, and just doing the transaction directly. Everything's on chain. Everything's verifiable. That's another use case. So I think who joined? Peter joined. Peter, do you want to give a quick intro? And right now we're talking about the things that will attract 1 billion users to Web3. So if you want to do a quick intro, and if you have something to say about that, feel free to chime in.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. But thanks for having me on. My name is Peter. I lead the business development for Voltcraft. And about that question, tracking the next 1 billion users, it's pretty much what we harp on a lot, and that's selling the emotion of convenience. It's trying to make things easier for users, whether it be utilizing the app or even just in DeFi in general. I think there's a lot of lingo and very dev type stuff out there where if you just talk to like a normal person that doesn't know anything about crypto or that's not even DeFi savvy, their head will explode. So I think it's just making things easier for everyone to use, and then also the UX UI experience, making it easier for people to understand what they're clicking on, what they're doing with their money, and what's being done with their money under the hood. I think that's the biggest importance.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Peter. Those are great points. And yeah, that's awesome. I think Lucas is back. If
Yeah,
you are,
I am.
okay, there you
Thanks
are.
so much. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted
no
actually
problem.
like to follow up on one of the points that Peter was mentioning here as well that makes sense is, it doesn't only need to be easy, but it actually, there has to be a component that makes it better, right? And better sometimes means accessible. So if we look at, specifically you said lending and borrowing as a key use case that people are coming to, or even funding, like if you as a business have an idea and you need to get money right now and you go to like a traditional Bank of America, or it doesn't even matter, whatever, Citibank, etc. They're probably going to tell you respectfully, but fuck you. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, yeah, go, do whatever you need to do, but I'm not giving you any money. And I feel that's basically access, right? At every level, right? So at an individual level, if you need a 10,000 loan and you have, enough assets to be able to collateralize, DeFi basically opens up, the opportunities. What I feel though, and maybe this is the big, slight drawback that might be kind of delaying why we're not getting, millions of users yet, is things like RWA are very cool. They're very sexy on paper. Like you said, oh yeah, cool. I bought a house, on chain. But realistically, our systems are still, not adapted to this type of transaction. And so what this means is, we also see this with like Ondo Finance and a bunch of others that are doing a lot of stuff in the RWA space, is that it just isn't cost effective. So if I want to buy a US Treasury and it costs me 20% more because I'm buying it on chain, I'm like, hey, why would I be giving away like 20% just to get it on chain if I can get it through a traditional broker? Because the underlying thing is still the same, right? Same with a house. If transferring the house ownership is going to cost me 20% more because I have an intermediary, yeah, it's really cool. Sure, it's on a blockchain, does it actually make sense? And so I see a lot of people kind of coming to these conclusions, basically after rolling out the protocols, testing out stuff, and then we're like, okay, cool. We still need to change something, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Peter, I'll let you join in a second, but I did have a question for Lucas. But you mentioned like the cost to do things on chain, right? If there's an application, for example, if there's an app that exists that I can sell my house legally to you, for example, directly, um, peer-to-peer transaction, wouldn't that cost less than using like the regular like real estate broker that they charge 13% plus all these different fees associated with the real estate, company and stuff like that? Wouldn't that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, conceptually, absolutely, you're right. I mean, the goal is that, if you have a digital native asset and you're able to transfer that, then yeah, I mean, same way, if you have, I don't know, an NFT and you want to like basically broker a deal with me, we could even use a third party that helps us do that using a smart contract. But with the RWA, the issue is the real world asset isn't on chain, right? It isn't native, and so you basically need to wrap that asset. And the process of wrapping it typically goes through a third party provider, which is what we call a trustee or, a broker agent or someone that basically
SPV, yeah.
guarantees, yeah, someone that guarantees that you basically own the final asset that you're looking for. So if you're looking at your house, you're probably going to need to, like you said, set up an SPV, which is what we call a special purpose vehicle, a company that basically owns 100% of the equity and that owns the house. And so what you would actually be trading isn't the house. You'd be trading the stock or the equity of a company that holds the house. And by basically adding wrappers, you're making it more and more complex, which in essence is what we're trying to get away from in the first place, from the financial system, right? We're trying to make it very simple and very peer-to-peer. So the solution to that, just to kind of like end on a positive note, is saying, okay, what do we need to change? What we need to rethink is how is ownership of homes or how are ownership of real world assets proven, right? And that comes down to sometimes even paper certificates, right? So, it sounds stupid, but if you set up a company, for example, here in Europe, there's still a lot of like, company registration houses that are not fully digital, right? In the UK, they obviously did a huge overhaul of their system about like 8 years ago or 10 years ago. And so now everything, filings, modifications, etc., can be done online. But for a lot of jurisdictions, that isn't the case. And real estate is just one of those where you probably need to go through basically, a notary or some type of system where you're going to physically show your passport, physically show that it's you, basically sign a bunch of papers and pay a fuck ton of fees. And that's what we really need to work on.
That's amazing. That's amazing insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. You pretty much hit everything on the nail. Some valid points. I think Peter. I don't know if you wanted to speak. I saw your hands raised up earlier today.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to add more to the bringing the next billion users.
Sure.
Just stealing a little bit off, but just giving another insight is I know there's new protocols. They try to prove their point and do their thing, but I look at it at two different aspects. That way, but then also strategically partnering with well-known protocols to bring convenience as well. We just, or I just partnered with Frax with their initiative on Arbitrum, and pretty much making it easier for their users to participate in certain yields. Because I know with Frax you have to do some complicated stuff under the hood, but now we're bringing it an easier concept for them, and then that's twofold because it's also bringing more users to Arbitrum as well, and then bringing more users to their platform to make everything easier.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Peter. Yeah, so Frax is it can be complicated in terms of like using their protocol and stuff like that. So yeah, if that can be simplified, that the entire process of even in DeFi today, the way as it exists is very complicated. So
I
Yeah,
looked at it and I was like, man, why do I even know how to get into this?
yeah. There's definitely a learning curve, and I think that's with most application that exists today. That's not even the gaming stuff. He said, you ever open up a gaming app, a Web3 gaming app? It's just like, all right, maybe because I'm not much of a gamer, but it takes me some time to figure it out. But I don't know if that's the same experience with everyone else. But yeah, awesome stuff. I want to jump into the next question. If there's anyone else that wants to chime in on this particular how to bring in the next billion users topic. Okay, we're good. So let's jump into um, the next question that I have here. So as of today, what are some of the hurdles that exist in Web3, and what can be the potential solutions for that? So I feel like we touched on this a little bit, but maybe if we can kind of elaborate a little bit more, some of the hurdles. I can start off. In my opinion, I think the regulatory landscape is still a big pain point for Web3. I think that it discourages projects from, building and doing, amazing things because of the potential consequences that can come about from that. I'll give you a prime example. In tribal finance world, we have a token. Obviously, it's a utility token, just to be clear. And we don't talk about anything that like we don't have a roadmap. We don't have any forward thinking statements or anything like that. Just because it creates it sends a wrong message, right? So if you catch my drift, so it's been very difficult to communicate with the community exactly what we're doing. What we do is we inform the community as things happen. We don't do any forward thinking statements, but there's still some regulatory um, uh, areas where it's not clear. So for us, we have a full legal team, and we just avoid talking about anything and just talk about avoid talk about anything that's not been built yet, and only talk about it as it's being built or when it's built rather. So that's I think regulatory compliance, regulatory landscape. I think that's a big pain point for just Web3 in general. I feel like once there's some more clarity there, I think these big projects, companies, they can start to do great things, and be, see more innovation in the space. So that's my take on that. Would love to hear what everyone else has to say about that.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a split problem there, right? So I kind of jumped the gun in my first initial statement, kind of assuming that anybody who's using Web3 is using it solely for financial purposes, right?
Yeah,
So,
naturally.
I
You
mean, I
listen
think
to
it kind of makes sense because you go on the Block Explorer, everything's just, it's just about your wallet holdings. It's about how much ETH you have, how much the ETH is worth. It's just about money moving back and forth. You really
right.
can't see the data for particular things. Say if we were playing, a Web3 game, and I traded you an item or something like that. Like, okay, yeah, there's the NFT transaction, but so I think there's a two-pronged problem there, right? I think from the user perspective, that like under the hood, say you go to an app and you want to log in with Google or Facebook or something like that. Is that what I consider Web two? It'd have to be just something, underpin that, people wouldn't ever think about. It's just the service that, is facilitating everything they're doing. But people just need wallets, and, they need data. Like there needs to be a reason for them to have a wallet, or why would you have a wallet? But yeah, that's my first thought. The other thought is just the financial arena. Once people start coming in, and the beauty is it's open and anybody can get in and trade and actually be able to experience a full ability to do anything they want, right? but there's all the problems that the eventual pitfall of making a mistake or just like losing out on, a trade or gamble, losing your money. I think that's the other big hurdle, is just like making sure people don't wreck themselves willy-nilly on poorly made apps.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's definitely a big one. That because what happens is if you have someone that's new to the space and does things, I guess you can call them like a degen. They make a big fuss about it and blame everyone else. They don't take any responsibility for their own actions, right?
The honeypots, yeah, the honeypots are particularly bad that I see sometimes at sushi when someone trades into something that they just kind of picked up off of Dex Tools or Dex Screener, like a trending coin that gets laundered around, and it is specifically programmed to be unsellable. And since the DEX is permissionless, anybody can just put some up there. People have to explicitly look for it to find it. We never whitelist anything like that.
I've seen, yeah, those honeypots are no joke. I've seen a token that was launched. It was a real token. It was more like kind of like a degen play, and the volume of the original token was less than the volume of the honeypot. So because people, you go on Dex Screener and you see this, you automatically by default think that the one with the highest volume is the real token. So people they were buying this and then they realize, hey, I can't sell,
It gets laundered around. Yeah. And it's so bad because not everybody knows like that, you got to look at the contract address. You got to know like a big hexadecimal hash, and it better be the right one,
Right.
And if you're taking the gamble, I hope that you can go on either scan or Arbiscan or wherever and look at the code and know what to look for.
Well, that's why these applications that exist today that they scan the entire address. You just input the address, and they can tell you right away, hey, like there's 3 whitelisted addresses. Everything else is blacklisted, so don't buy. Like it tells you it's a honeypot. So
a lot of them are they're not sufficient enough. These people are getting really creative with them. I was looking at one where it literally the coding was you can't sell it in the same block that you bought it in, and then there's a line immediately after it that says set current timestamp to the block that it was bought at permanently or something like this. So it's literally impossible to sell.
Jeez, yeah. That's it is brutal. Full transparency. I think when was it? 2020. I fell for one. I was kind of being a degen myself, and I fell for a honeypot. I think when they first started to come out, with that. So it was a very expensive learning lesson. I always practice security. Like I never inputted my address online, or I protected my seed phrases and stuff like that. My background is cybersecurity, so like I did all of that, but I fell for the for that honeypot, and I learned my lessons from then. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Cool. Is there anyone else that has that would like to talk about this topic? I think Lucas has some good stuff. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm adding you, Lucas. All right, so you're a speaker. Hey, Lucas. I don't know if you heard where we were, but if you have anything else to add, the floor is yours. All right, cool. Anyone else? I can jump in. Yeah, go ahead.
I think one big barrier hurdle, I mean, it'll never go away, but it's the security aspect in this whole ecosystem. It's puts a bad taste in the mouth of either like project owners or just community when, stuff gets hacked, socials get hacked, discords get held at ransom, all that stuff. I think that's a big nuisance.
Absolutely. Security is a big factor. And I think Alex said earlier, not Alex, Zappo, sorry, said earlier, there's a lot of creativity happening with these guys trying to phishing attacks and stuff like that. So like for example, earlier today in our Discord, someone created an icon that was the same color as the background of the Discord, and then I sent a message to remind everyone about this space, and somehow I guess they had a bot or something. It automatically listed something underneath my message that said at everyone, or it just not at everyone, but it just kind of said here's an airdrop. Tribal Finance is doing so on and so forth. Like it literally had this whole thing planned out, and I couldn't see the user's name. But I realized like it was like in the background. It was so weird, and I just like deleted it immediately. But that's just to show the creativity level of some of these malicious actors. And you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful. I mean, how many times we've heard stories of, influencers or just anyone, a native in crypto getting either hacked or falling for some kind of scam and stuff like that. So I think definitely more education on security, more hardening on these applications that exist, like wallets and so forth. Personally, I think MetaMask does a great job, and stuff like that. But look at what happened the other day with Ledger. So,
Let's say Ledger.
yeah. So it's just if you have a little bit of understanding of cybersecurity, I think that there should be like kind of like a crash course for everyone available about cybersecurity, like just the basic level, like how do TCP and IP works and stuff like that, and how to make sure you use a VPN when interacting because people can do a port scan and see exactly what you're doing. Just all these different things. I think if there's more education out there and people are willing to learn, I think that will help with some of the security issues and the hurdles that exist. Because as Zappa, as you said, it does. Like, sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, man.
Sorry,
I'll go take a
a call just came in.
Those scammers are pretty bad. I had to lock my Discord down pretty much because they're just so relentless with how they fish for people. I mean, anybody who asks a single question or needs help are usually just DM by these people. And I think the first step to being more secure on the internet is just don't accept strange messages from strangers. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
Oh man, yeah, I just got the Discord
Uh,
compromised like a couple weeks ago, dude. That sucked, and they got me good, dude. They got me so good, dude. They got me so good, dude. I can't believe it. Yeah, I got it. That sucked. It took me like a week to get all the settings back to everything in, get everything normal, and yeah, dude.
I'm sorry to hear
So yeah,
that. That's hard. Was it your
yeah.
your Discord username or um?
Dude, it was crazy. It was someone they said they wanted to write an article about the company, and they sent they sent
one.
questions, these decent questions too. Some like decent questions these guys like thought up, man. They used the AI prompt really well, and they asked some good questions about us, and then like the way to submit it was just copy this link into the like not
Yeah,
even a link, just like
even
take the Google. Yeah.
Discord, another Discord server link or something like that, or PDF. They'll hit
No,
you with
no, it
something.
was like a Google. It was like a Google, just a Google doc with the questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Actually, one big thing that even I've been reading about is like people trying to apply to jobs in the crypto and Web3 world, and they're getting hit with scams and wallet drainers as well. It's like, damn, we can't even get even people to work in the space without getting hit by something right away.
So last week we had I'm not even exaggerating. I had five people in my Discord that they're very active, and they got they they all got their Discord compromised because they clicked on this job posting, and and it was just this big thing. It happened like while I was sleeping. These same people were sending malicious links because that's what they do. They take over your username, and then they send these malicious links. And if it's a member that's active, people trust it. So like for example, I think he's probably on this call, but I'm not going to say his name. His username got compromised, and they use his user Discord to post hiring. It was just hiring, and a link to a Discord that has real members and everything. Well, not real, but they probably were bots. But and then everyone else got hacked because they trust him. So yeah, we have to be careful. If you don't know the link, just don't click it, or always verify. So yeah, that's very important. Lucas, you should have access to speak. I know that
Yes, I
you were
can
having
hear
some
you.
issues.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
perfect.
Yeah, no, maybe on the security aspect. I mean, we had also some. I say hilarious because now I guess after the fact it's okay, but obviously it's really painful throughout the process when you see like I don't know some pretty big accounts like north of 100K Twitter followers, etc. Projects that we work with, and then they're like, oh, we had 2FA, but we had set it up with this I don't know random like SMS phone service. And obviously they compromised the SMS service got compromised, so they got access to the 2FA, and that's the weakest link at the end of the day, right? So it's like everything is really nice, but we want to be super secure, we want to be super safe, but then if you're holding, for example, your private keys on a rando password manager that gets hacked, then you know maybe that's what we should be checking at, right? So we need a global vision, I guess, and that applies to everything. It applies to private keys, it applies to your Discord, to your Twitter, to whatever. So it's not a question. I think that this is the same, right? In cybersecurity, it's not a question of if you're going to get hacked. It's just when.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to create some, what I tell people, create some redundancy when it comes to security, have as many layers as possible. Back when I was going to school for cybersecurity, like you said, Lucas, it's not about not getting hacked. It's when and what you're going to do and how hard you're making that for that person. Because I assure you, if you're a target, I don't care what you do, they're gonna come after you, and they're not gonna stop. And these malicious actors, they're really, really good. Even if you look at Web 2 stuff, and the Web 2 world is the same thing. If you have like your Instagram, people fall for these scams online on their DMs. If you have Google, like your Google browser, everyone is a convenience to have all of your bookmarks and all your stuff. And if you have multiple devices, people like to sync it across multiple devices. That's an issue because if a hacker gets into your Google account, now they have access to everything because it's synced. You know, so I personally never sync my stuff. That's something I don't do. And the last thing about in the Web 2 world, if you look at, there's something called, I know some people are not from the U.S., but in the U.S. we have something called Zelle, which is basically like a payment platform like PayPal or Venmo, and basically you can send people funds via your phone number or email address. It's very simple, very convenient. They were so, and this is with all banks. It works with all the big banks, and this people were falling for hacks or for just phishing attacks left and right, and people were losing their money. So just like in the Web 2 world, it exists. In the Web 3 world, it's going to exist even more. It's going to be more prominent. We just have to, as a user, we have to take responsibility. We have to get educated and stuff like that. And as builders of the Web 3 world, we also have to make sure that we're providing the resources to educate our community and the rest of Web 3 users, in my opinion. So it's definitely a big pain point. But yeah, it's a hurdle that together we can collectively get over it. So cool. Anyone else wants to talk about this topic? All right, I have one more question. Um, I don't think it's redundant. Just have to think about it a little bit. But what problem is Web3 solving that Web2 cannot or has not?
Ooh, that's a good.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, I think the most obvious one right now would be transparency, right? Um,
Yep, that's what I was
especially,
thinking.
yeah, when you're talking with um funds across companies, across institutions, then definitely you'll be able to see what's going on because of the block explorer, right? Um, so I think that's probably going to be one of the main problems that it's solving. Obviously, I don't want to take another one if you guys have the answer to it. So I'll let
Well,
someone else go. But
Well, I will do a shameless plug because you brought up a good point. So, in the world of tribal finance, there's three different pillars, right? Um, there's the credit institutional investor. So um, it's the institution that's deploying capital, and then that capital can be used by a fintech company, financial technology company that could use those funds to lend to their customers, the end users. So in the case of tribal finance, because we're a DeFi protocol, it allows the credit investors to see exactly how that capital is being used by the fintech company. So there's full transparency there. So if let's say I deploy $2 million and I don't know, Joe Smith Banking wants to borrow that and then lend it to a small business like a taco place or something like that, or you can tell I'm hungry because I mentioned tacos, but you want to lend it to a small business, right? Small to medium business. I can see as a credit investor, I can see how John Smith banking is deploying and using that capital, and it allows me to kind of make informed decisions and stuff like that. But the funds are collateralized as well, so that's also a credit enhancement for us. But yeah, my point is that it offers transparency, and that's something that you cannot see in the Web2 world. You can't see that full transparent, the full scope of what's going on. So yeah, that's a good point, Gian. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think mine is pretty simple. I think like at the lowest common denominator, Web3 is just contingent on blockchain. Yeah, and so I think what like the big reason to have blockchain is just having an immutable ledger, and it's really what we do with that, right? So I guess if I was answering that question specifically, the problem blockchain solves is having the ledger, right? So we can make sure that there's actually fastened amount of money in circulation, theoretically, although probably not actually. But yeah, that's what I see pretty much.
Yeah, definitely the immutable data that's on chain helps a lot. I think that's a good point. I can't say that I gave Gian, $200 via the blockchain, and he tell me that I didn't when I have proof and evidence of that, right? So that's a small little example, but yeah, it's very true. Like the ledger, the public ledger that can be altered is very important, and it solves a problem that Web3, I'm sorry, Web2 may have. Um, yeah, definitely. I think Lucas had some interesting stuff to talk about, probably.
Yeah, I was just gonna drop like a simple one, which is rethinking ownership, and I think it's broad enough where it applies to like financial assets, but also anything else that we can think about in Web3, and I think it's really important to be inclusive, right? So the art communities, the NFT communities, like even like you said, even the real world asset communities, right? So ownership is a very broad topic, and I think this isn't something that we can do with any other technology as of today, because it's obviously in control of one entity. So yeah, a lot to think about there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucas, for sharing that. Anyone else? Jake, Peter? Sorry for calling you guys out.
No, yeah, just letting everyone speak. I think piggybacking off what Jan said, the transparency, which is a good thing, and then also the decentralization aspect, relating more onto the socials part of like non-censorship and not data and stuff being controlled by one entity, because I think we've seen it for a database gets hacked and now all your info is there. There's protocols now in the Web3 world where it's like almost like a cloud type of server. For example, IPFS and whatnot. So I think that's a main differences. And then I was at some conference, Benzinga conference in New York, and talking to a lot of fund managers and whatnot, and they like the aspect of being able to see what's happening with like liquidity, where it's being moved and whatnot, wherein differentiating from centralized exchange to decentralized, centralized exchange, you can't really see where funds are moving under the hood, where in DeFi, everything is transparent. As long as you just take the time to look on Etherscan, you're able to see where stuff is going.
Absolutely. Good point. Yeah, that's very crucial for the space, for sure. Cool. Thank you. Anyone else? Cool. I think we're an hour in already. I just looked up at the time and it went by pretty fast. I thought we were like 30 minutes in, but I will give a chance for everyone to do an outro. If you have something that I don't want to put anyone in the spot, but if you feel that the project you're building or working with is solving a pain point, or if it's doing something for obviously it's in Web3, so it's doing something in Web3. But if you have something that you want to share, please do as an outro, and then we'll just wrap this up.
Let's all do outros.
You do?
Let's all do outros.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, can it not be a plug? I'll do one that's very simple, just to think about. It's easy. It's not about a specific project. It's actually about a traditional player. And I was astounded at when I heard this. This was like 2 weeks ago or something. The guys from DTCC were just reminding us, DTCC being obviously the main presser for clearing in the US, right? They're reminding basically the Web3 space of how much volume they process. And I'll let you guys think about it when I give you the number. They process 500 quadrillion worth of securities a year. So keep adding the zeros there, basically, right? 500 quadrillion, guys. So I think the interesting thing here is we're so far away from what the real market is, and when I say real, I'm not talking about proof of concepts, right? But we're talking about real markets that driving our economy. People driving, trucks, people driving, pharma, driving tech, etc. Right? There's so much way to grow there, and it just kind of shows like how early we are in this space. So my plug here is it's super early time. All the ideas are still out there. We can see it where we've mostly been working on infra, right, for the last 3 years. Now is really the time to shine, to experiment on different applications. So keep it going, I guess, is my outro.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lucas, for taking the time and sharing that insight. I definitely agree with you 100%. I think that back in 2017, when I first got into the space, I used to say we're early. I mean, we were. If this is broken down by phases, like 1, 2, and 3, we were at phase 0, negative. We were like in the negative back then in 2017, and we're just now tapping into phase one, just to kind of illustrate where I think we are, right? And 10 being the highest. So I think there's definitely, we're super early, as you said. Even with the tokenization stuff, the real world asset. I know I keep bringing this up, not just because of tribal finance, but because I personally think it's going to change everything as we know it. There are some pain points there. Lucas brought up some good points earlier, but I think that there's definitely potential. But yeah, I'll let everyone else take the floor.
Dude, a quadrillion? Like, there's only like $20 trillion on the M2, like circulating. That's unfathomable. Yeah, I guess I'm obligated to plug sushi. So, as far as our mission to extend, you know, a liquidity, I guess liquidity providing and swapping across all the chains possible, under one roof, all interchained, so you could, go from one to another, and that would just make things so much more liquid and so much more accessible. And when people can move around and they don't have to wait, to make the swap because they don't want to pay $15 in ETH gas, they could just do it in another venue so much more easily and seamlessly. I think that will make the whole financial, the future of France a lot more liquid, I guess, accessible. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And personally, I definitely I'm a user of Sushi Swap, so I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and looking forward to seeing more. But yeah, who else? Who's next?
Yeah, I'll plug Boba in here.
You have to, man.
You
Come
know,
on.
might as well. Yeah, so Boba Network obviously is permissionless, so anyone can deploy anything they want. But it is kind of nifty because there's something called hybrid compute as well. So basically, you can think of it as an oracle, but it's more like a bridge. If you have a cool idea that requires any Web2 API point, Boba Network is there for you. You can use hybrid compute to do that. So you can come out with anything, that your mind can imagine. So one of the things that they're building as well is commodities trading, right? So any price of oil, I don't know, flour if you want, or orange juice, whatever it may be. You can trade that as well. And if you guys haven't known, check out the chart on olive oil or orange juice over the past year. You'll see what I mean. So obviously, some of the things that you can trade will be not kind of what is it called, enabled in Web3 as of now that I know of. But there is a project building that on Boba Network. So, you can build whatever you want. And yeah, give us a shout if you are. We'll help you out in any way possible.
Gian, thank you so much. Appreciate that. We're gonna go in order. We're gonna go Peter, Alex, and Jake, and then there's a speaker that I inadvertently added. But since you're here, Daniel from XC, I think you can speak after we do the outros. Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Cool. Yeah, time to plug in Voltcraft. Yeah, so we're doing. Of course, we can't just stay on mainnet, especially looking at the crazy gas prices in the past 2 weeks. So I've shifted, of course, to going on the next L2. So Arbitrum, of course, with the Frax partnership, Optimism as well, and looking at others to expand. But also for our business model, it's for retail people to launch any type of strategy, DeFi strategy vault for them to own. But also I've shifted it more towards also catering and helping other projects and protocols. And that example is Frax. We're about to do one with Timeless or Bunny Protocol as well and create some custom thing for them. So I've pretty much, my lead dev hates me because I'm shifting some stuff and having them putting a lot of work on their table, but it's working out good so far. So yeah, if you're a protocol or just a user that needs customization in your pools or vaults, or you want to create your own, feel free to hit me up.
Awesome, awesome. I did check out, over the past weeks, I did check out what you guys were doing. Really cool stuff there. So I definitely encourage everyone to check out what you're doing. And just for the record, everyone that's on this call, all the projects that are being built and that exist, definitely check them out. I think that they're doing some amazing stuff. So I think Alex is next from Footprints.
Yeah, you guys, come check out Footprint if you guys want to just get on the know on all the recent data. Like I said, we have a ton of chains. We got lots of really just kind of quick dashboards to take a peek at on our research tab if you just want to get in the know for a specific chain. For example, we have Boba. So you can check out data on Boba Network or some other new chains that like StarkNet or something like that. And yeah, just go check that out at Footprint on Network. I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on again onto the space. I'm happy I made it. Feeling all festive right now. Got the holiday hat on the Footprint Network
Same
logo.
here.
So I'm feeling good. So yeah, just want to thank you guys again for having me. And just wish you guys all happy holidays too, while we're here.
Yeah, you too. You too. Definitely appreciate you joining. And last but not least, we have Jake, and then we'll have Daniel that wants to chime in on something. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. So just want to make one quick point about. So recently, a lot of people are actually implementing something with AI by using ChatGPT. So one of my friends is actually developing a tool for the community managers to manage the Telegram groups with the CRM functions with the AI bots. And I found out that it is not the only one person actually doing it. There's a lot of uh, developers working on it, and also project founders, I mean builders, also working on it. So I mean, the more and more like there will be, we are expecting more users to onboard on this industry, and like this kind of challenges and like tryouts will also make it happen. So I'm expecting more, and like also um, like everyone is expecting the bull market next year. What we have talked today, and also what we will talk tomorrow. Let's keep going and keep working hard, keep building, and see what's gonna happen next year. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for inviting me as well.
Thanks, Jake. Thank you for joining. I'm gonna have to pick your brain offline about those tools that you were talking about. To make my life easier on Telegram. So I'll definitely offline pick your brain about that. Yeah, that's awesome. So we do have someone. Like I said, I inadvertently added a speaker, but maybe he has something great to talk about. So go ahead, Daniel. You can speak.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. All right,
Good
my name is
morning.
Daniel. Okay, with the project that we are having here, I think we would have to also work both online and offline. There are a lot of good business people that do not have time for coming into Web3 or even Web 2. So many of them does their things, and they don't really know what is going on here. They don't know
Mhm.
what's going on in the in the web system. So I will suggest that since we do have ambassadors, we organize physical educational programs where the ambassadors will, of course, they will be trained first. They know exactly what's going on here, so they will go into the physical world and engage people, educating them on what's going on here, because this is business. So business, we go around and make sure that we fulfill, or we um we get what we want. So by doing so, we are going to bring them into the system, That's when we now get them more of them in Web3 or Web2, depends on. So what I'm trying to say here is organizing physical educational programs through ambassadors in different places, so that more people will know what the tribal finance is about. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So, what I gather from that is that we should be doing more live events to educate people, and I think that's an amazing suggestion. So, we'll definitely consider it. Shameless plug. We're also on our end are looking designing an ambassadors program, so maybe we can incorporate that. So, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that you joined us today. I'm glad that everyone that's here that joined us, we're going to do more of these. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to everyone. Be safe. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.